They say stand up for the things you can't stand to lose. I want you to fight for me. I want you to fight for me. A spectator watching us bleed out inside.
The following program is rated MA-LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Oh, it never has, and it never will, and that is the way that it goes. It does not matter who the host is. What always has mattered is who the listeners are. So let me start off right away. Today is Wednesday, December the 13th of 2023, also known as Whip 'em Out Wednesday. Now listen, if you hang out here quite often, you will notice right away that the sound is terrible today. Yeah, the sound is bad, and I want to point it out right away, because that's what I do. I call it as it is. And here's what I want to tell you. Well, number one, we're broadcasting live. Number two, the moment I got in here this morning and started to hang out and get everything ready for us to do our thing together, we blew out a preamp. Let me rephrase that. I blew out a microphone preamp. So the microphone sounds like this now for today. And I have already ordered a new preamp. That's how quick we tried to get everything moving. But I knew it wasn't going to be in time for the show this morning. So we are broadcasting live this morning in regards to this from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida, and hanging out with our friends and colleagues over there.
Another great hour of freeform radio. Or is it Radio Big?
So with that being said, we will still bring you glorious content today. Glorious content, but you're just going to have to put up with my voice like this. Worst comes to worst, we have another board, but there was just not enough time for the 7 o'clock hour, because it is 3 minutes past the moment, for us to get it all moving and grooving. Just in case, if you can see, 7:03, that's in the Eastern time zone, in regards to what's going on. So you're going to get a little bit more noise than normal, but don't worry. I will make sure that we are taken care of in regards of everything that's going on. So this is not normally the way I try to make it sound, but you'll hear every nook and cranny today. There is no doubt about that. That's how this goes. But hey, don't worry about it. We're going to get you taken care of, because that is what I do as we get to hang out. Because listen, it's still your show. CallinRadio.com will get you right into our system, moving and grooving and everything along those lines. So sound quality issues aside, we'll take care of that, fix everything, and have it moving and grooving for you in some way, shape, or form by tomorrow. But don't worry. Oh, listen. You can hear everything that is going on inside of the world. That's the fantastic part on how this works. So CallinRadio.com gets you into our system. We can move and groove and go from there. If you're not familiar with our show, here's how the layout of the land goes. It goes something like this. We talk about safety in the news and safety. Simple process. That's how we get moving and grooving. As we go through that, we bring in some professional broadcasters that will take care of you. Yes, that's exactly what they will do. They will take care of you to make sure that everything is living up to your standards. So there you go. With that being said, let's talk right away about what the hell was trending in the overnight.
Here is what was trending. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so as I look at the trends of the ends, the FBI investigating a Russian stowaway and a goldfish plague threatens to the Great Lakes. We'll talk about that as we get into the hit list. Taylor Swift gives back to those affected by the devastating tornadoes, and Wu-Tang heads to Las Vegas. We'll talk about that as we get into showbiz. James Cameron says that things are rolling along for Avatar 3, and another Saw film is in the works. We'll talk about that as we get into casting calls, and then we'll talk about everything else that is going on inside of the world of the safety and the news, just in case. By the way, it is day 347th of the year, and only 18 days left to go. In case you were wondering, because I think that those things are important to talk about. So with that being said, why don't we do this where we can get everything rolling? I have some Michael Kastner waiting in the wings for him to tell you about what's going on with the news.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
NBC News Radio, I'm Michael Kastner. The United Nations General Assembly is demanding an immediate humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza. On Tuesday, the General Assembly got a two-thirds majority and passed the resolution demanding a ceasefire. Two amendments to the ceasefire proposed by the U.S. and Austria both failed. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell says it's practically impossible to pass aid for Ukraine and Israel before the holiday break. Trey Thomas with more.
Republicans want to pair any aid with tougher U.S. border policies.
Obviously, negotiating a border solution is very complicated.
His comments come after Ukrainian President Zelensky held meetings on Capitol Hill Tuesday to make his case for more U.S. support.
The Department of Education is launching a probe into 6 colleges over alleged ethnic discrimination on campus. On Tuesday, the DOE announced Stanford, UCLA, Rutgers University, University of California, San Diego, University of Washington, and Whitman College are all under investigation for alleged violations of Title VI of the Civil Rights Act. Title VI prohibits discrimination based on race or national origin. President Biden is calling it outrageous that a Texas woman had to leave the state to have an emergency abortion. Kate Cox from Dallas became pregnant with a fetus with a genetic defect, which made it likely that it would die before birth or only live a few days. Beyond that, the doctors told the mother of 2 that carrying the fetus to term could hurt her ability to have more children in the future. And Federal Reserve rate cuts could come as soon as June. Lisa Taylor with more.
More than half of the 35 experts taking part in a new CNBC Fed survey believe that will be the case, with that number rising to nearly 70% by July. They also put the odds of a recession at about 41%, which is down 8 points from the October survey.
Michael Kastner, NBC News Radio.
Safety never sounded so terrible.
Rated R Safety Show.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Ollie Barrett. Representatives from 198 countries have agreed a climate deal at the COP28 summit in Dubai. US President Joe Biden says Israel is beginning to lose global support for its military campaign in Gaza. President Biden has urged Congress to approve billions of dollars more aid for Ukraine, and the United Nations says Myanmar has now become the world's largest source of opium.
Listen at your own risk. Rated R Safety Show.
The Department of Veterans Affairs says nearly half the vets they're screening may have been exposed to toxic substances. Brian Shook reports.
A new report shows of the 5 million veterans screened, over 2 million reported at least one possible exposure to a toxic substance during their time in the military. The most common reports were exposures to burn pits and Agent Orange, both of which can cause a variety of cancers. The screenings were launched as part of the PACT Act, a law expanding benefits for veterans who've been exposed to toxic substances.
A look back at some of the top political stories of this year. Here's Mark Mayfield.
Spiking inflation and supply chain disruptions hurt the president's approval ratings. The White House initially said the inflation trend was transitory, but revised that forecast as prices kept rising for the most of 2022. The House committee investigating last year's violent attack on the U.S. Capitol held several public hearings. Republicans complained the hearings were nothing more than political theater. In December, the committee said criminal referrals will be made. The Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. The decision was seized upon by Democrats, who argued it was Republicans that created the court's conservative majority. President Biden took a victory lap after Democrats performed better than expected in this year's midterm elections. Democrats retained control of the Senate and narrowly lost the House to Republicans. Former President Trump announced another run at the White House in 2024.
In order to make America great and glorious again, I am tonight announcing my candidacy for President of the United States.
And the nation's attorney general is looking at whether criminal charges should be filed against Trump.
Broadcasting legend Al Michaels is being pulled from NBC's NFL playoff coverage. NBC Sports Vice President Greg Hughes confirmed the news to the New York Post. Michaels was set to call one of NBC's 3 playoff games next month as an alternate. The network will instead go with its team of rising broadcaster Noah Eagle and Todd Blackledge. Michael Kastner, NBC News Radio.
Listen to our host
Of the Rated R Safety Show.
self-implode on our airwaves, only on Safety FM.
Let me talk to you real quick. What is HelloFresh? With HelloFresh, you get farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. Spend your time this month shopping for gifts and sipping cocoa, not stuck at the checkout line. Sign up for HelloFresh and get everything you need to whip up a fresh, tasty meal delivered to your door. Just choose your recipes, select a delivery date, and relax knowing the dinner's on its way. HelloFresh has over 45 recipes and more than 100 seasonal add-on items to choose from every week, so it's easier than ever to find something everyone will enjoy. Go to HelloFresh.com/SafetyFM free. That's HelloFresh.com/SafetyFM free to use the code SafetyFM free for free breakfast for life. 1 breakfast item per box while subscription is active. That's free breakfast for life at HelloFresh.com/SafetyFM free with code SafetyFM free. And don't forget that this is why HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit.
Is your safety training old, stale, and hacked? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Posel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
Hey, are you tired of hanging around and talking about safety in a boring kind of format? Well, I got something for you. If you haven't hung out with us yet at safetyfm.com, I'm going to encourage you to do so. Yeah, if you come out to Safety FM, you can come hang out with all kinds of safety professionals. Some are safety professionals, some are just people that are talking about safety. But we want to do it in a format that makes it fun and entertaining. If you're kind of trying to figure out what the FM portion is, well, we're a radio station and also a podcast network. You can come out, hang out, and listen to my show, The Jay Allen Show. You can listen to Todd Conklin with the pre-accident investigation, Blaine J. Hoffman with the Safety Pro, the Hop Nerd, Sam Goodman, just to name a few on what can be found on the station. Different things for different people, trying to bring safety in an entertaining form. SafetyFM.com. Go to the website, download the app, and carry it with you all day long. SafetyFM.com. We'll be waiting for you. Radio. We all want to make sure that our family is protected in medical emergencies. What many of us don't realize is that health insurance won't always cover the full amount of an emergency medical flight. Even with comprehensive coverage, you could get hit with high deductibles and copays. That's why an Air Medcare Network membership is so important. As a member, if an emergency arises, you won't see a bill for air medical transport when flown by an AMCN provider. Best of all, a membership covers your entire household for as little as $85 a year. AMC and providers are called upon to transport nearly 100,000 patients a year. This is coverage no family should go without. Now, as a Jay Allen Show listener, you'll get up to a $50 e-gift card with a new membership. Simply visit airmedcarenetwork.com/safety and use the offer code SAFETY. And don't forget to tell them that Jay Allen sent you.
You are listening to a radio god. What? This has to be an error. That host is not a radio god. Anyways, this is the Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Oh, yes, what she said. There is no doubt about that. Anyway, so here we are, 15 minutes past the top of the hour. And let's not go into it every single time that we start talking. But yes, the sound quality is off. You can hear everything that's going on this lovely Whip 'em Out Wednesday. There is no doubt about that. But let's take care of you. Let's get through everything that we need to get through, because that's the important part. It's about you and I hanging out on these lovely days and talking about what the hell's going on inside of the world. Anyways, let's talk about the top of the shit list, because that is the way that it goes. Financial resource site Investostopia reports that the typical American dream costs about $3.5 million over a person's life. Their formula accounts for living comfortably with a house and cars, sending kids to college, paying for a wedding, and caring for pets, among other factors, including the setting aside more than $715,000 for retirement spending, nearly $1 million on health insurance premiums. This is, of course, via Investostopia that is telling about all the stuff that you get to do with investment. What do you think? What is your American dream costing? Besides your life, of course. I mean, I'm just asking the question, because that's the thing. People want to live like no one else to later live like no one else. So that's the way that you have to look at it. What are you willing to sacrifice today to be able to do later on inside of the world and inside of the lifetime? Because that's going to be the important factor into what we have going on. No doubt about that. Anyways, an Ohio man, he still has love for his girlfriend after she shot him in the crotch. The victim, Charlie Glenn, says that the shot went through his testicle and out of his butt cheek. And that's when his girlfriend ran off down the street. She was apprehended shortly after the local police at a nearby house. The girlfriend is reportedly on medication and for mental disability. Glenn tells the local media, "I still do love her, and she ever gets better," before trailing off. This is according to Fox 19. So hold on. I want to make sure that I understand this. I mean, what the hell is going on here? That the girl shot you in the on the testicle, and it went out through your butt cheek, and you still love her. I mean, I understand love to an extent, but let's talk about the extremes here. Like, what else are you willing to sacrifice?
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
Oh yeah, trying to be something, all right. A Russian traveler somehow managed to fly from Europe to Los Angeles, and he didn't even have so much as a passport and a visa, let alone a plane ticket. The federal investigation remains open to determine exactly how Sergei Vlamirovka pulled off the feat, but initial reports suggest that he smuggled himself inside of the plane as a stowaway. The flight landed in LAX early last month via Copenhagen on a Scandinavian Airlines flight. When he tried to pass through customs, immigration officers detained him after he failed to produce a passport. He since has been held at the detention center in downtown Los Angeles with a preliminary court hearing scheduled before the end of the year. This is according to ABC7. So there you go. What do you think? I mean, it's an interesting one. Let's not lie here, because how the hell did you pull that off? That's going to be the interesting part about the whole thing, no doubt about it. Anyways, goldfish have a reputation as one of the nature's more benign creatures, but a new report shows that they're imperiling aquatic ecosystems across the Great Lakes. Turns out the goldfish can grow into about 19 inches long and weigh up to 9 pounds when they're left on their own in the wild. When families give up on raising goldfish, they might send it into a sewer or into a nearby lake where they continue to flourish as an invasive species. Researchers blame the growing goldfish population on creating an imbalance in the ecosystem where they're not native, eating other fish and plants that are indigenous species otherwise. This is according to the Smithsonian. So What do you think? It makes it kind of an interesting one overall. There is no doubt right there. Anyways, Atlanta, Georgia has topped Money's.com's list of the best 50 places to live in the U.S. It beat other places such as, let's see, the thriving job market, commitment to equality, rich cultural environment, prestigious institution, and a robust public transportation. Tempe, Arizona, and Kirkland, Washington came in second and third. Retrospectively, California was the state with the most number of cities on the list. And of course, this is via money.com. So what do you think? What do you think? Some stuff right there for sure. So that's that. That is that. I mean, what a fun time. Would you consider moving to Atlanta, Georgia? I'm just asking the question. You know, I look at it from this particular standpoint. Because of my parents being in the military, I think that this is the longest that I have actually remained in one place. Meaning one area, because I had moved so much when I was a kid. But that is that's neither here nor there in regards to talking about it. So what do you think? As we are hanging and banging for sure. What do we need to talk about real quick? I think we need to talk about, I don't know, there's so many things to do today because I'm looking and maybe we should talk about some money. What do you think? Should we talk about some Money Matters stuff? Let's do that. Let's do some Money Matters right now because I think that's going to be important. 21 minutes past the top of the hour.
Ford will reportedly slash production of the F-150 Lightning electric pickup truck by about half next year. Silvana Anau reports.
The move is in response to changes in market demand for electric vehicles. Ford will reportedly cut the production of the Lightning to about 1,600 a week, and that's down from recent plans to make 3,300 a week. Sales of electric vehicles have been growing, but not at the same fast rate as last year. Ford cut prices for the F-150 this summer by as much as 17% in an effort to gain market share.
Google has lost an antitrust lawsuit from video game company Epic Games after a jury found the Google Play phone app is an illegal monopoly. Epic Games, maker of the popular Fortnite game, has been fighting Google and Apple for years now over how the App Store's payment sharing system works. The company changed its software so customers could pay Epic directly to get around paying Google as much as 30%, and the game was kicked off the Google platform. A jury found Google was operating an illegal monopoly through its app. Google says it will appeal. A new poll shows nearly half of voters believe that the U.S. is spending too much on aid for Ukraine in its war with Russia. The Financial Times Michigan Ross poll found 48% of voters said the U.S. is sending too much financial and military support to Kyiv. 27% said the U.S. was spending the right amount, and 11% said we're not sending enough. This comes as lawmakers are divided over an aid package requested by President Biden that includes funding for both Ukraine and Israel. Republicans are demanding U.S. border policy reforms in exchange for more Ukraine aid. U.S. soybean growers are facing a triple threat to fewer bushels to sell, more global competition, and lower commodity prices this year.
Global supplies are increasing, and that's what's weighing on prices.
That's Mark Jekanowski, the USDA Board Outlook Chairman. The USDA's soybean supply and demand report forecasts a record-breaking crop in Brazil this year, offsetting a 3% drop in U.S. yields. Consumer and Business News, Aaron Real, NBC News Radio.
Okay, thank you, Aaron, for that information right there on what exactly is going on inside of the market because, hey, we want to know those things. Anyways, the Dow increased by 173 points to close at 36,577 on Tuesday. The S&P increased by 21 points and to close at 4,643. The Nasdaq increased about 100 points to close at 14,533. West Texas Intermediate closed at $68 a barrel, and Brent crude was at $73 a barrel. The national average price of a gallon of gas was $3.13 on Tuesday, and Bitcoin was mostly flat on Tuesday, trading right around $21,200. Is that correct? Because that means that it dropped significantly because it was just 47 not too long ago. Anyways, there was more than 1,690 flights delayed within, into, and out of the United States on Tuesday, with about 65 such cancellations. Tonight's Powerball drawing will be for $500 million jackpot or a $240.7 million cash payout. So if you want to play the game, you have the opportunity to do so. Will you play? I don't know. I'm asking you the question. What do I know? I just hang out here and we talk, and I'm just the guy right here, the guy behind the microphone thing. So there you go. Anyways, let's talk about this real quick. A beach in the area of La Jolla will close this week for pupping season. Bree Tennis has more.
From now until May 16th, the La Jolla Children's Pool will be off limits while the mammals have their babies. The 5-month closure offers the seals a safe place to birth and nurse new pups. This seal baby protection is part of a 10-year agreement between the city and the California Coastal Commission. It's expected to last until 2029. The Coastal Commission predicts 50 to 60 baby seals born this season. I'm Bree Tennis.
Okay, thank you, Bree Tennis, for that information right there on what is going on, because, hey, we want to know what's going on in La Jolla. Why wouldn't we? Schools, kids are in particular age ruined Santa for countless children, but science says it should. You should believe. Bree Tennis with more.
It happens to all of us at some point in life. We stop believing in Santa, but there's science behind believing. The University of the Sunshine Coast in Canada says believing in things that grown-ups don't is normal. It brings joy, goodwill, and positive feelings that make you feel good. And they say it also shows a great imagination. The average age where belief leaves is 8 years, 4 months. But on average, 21% of adults still believe in Santa. I'm Bree Tennis.
Okay, thank you, Bree Tennis, for that information right there. The department building inspectors are examining a building that partially collapsed on Monday at Morris Heights section in the Bronx. Emergency Management Commissioner Zach Eiskell says it was unclear when they can return to their belongings and pets.
See if we can eventually move people back in at some point, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done.
Okay, the Red Cross is helping about 150 people to remain displaced. The 7-story building did have a history of violations and unsafe facade conditions, but officials say that none are related to structural concerns. There are no words yet on the cause of the issue. A new audit blames the insufficient systems for leaving available homeless shelters beds in Los Angeles empty. Sergio Perez at the LA Controller Office, which conducted the audit, says the Los Angeles Homeless Service Authority is using highly flawed systems to keep track of the open sheltered beds.
Instead of having a computerized, digitized software that would allow them to track beds, it's emails and phone calls. Some of their phone calls went unanswered, about 50% of them.
Computerized, digitized computer software. I like it. This means a dozen of people who could be housed are being left on the street. Perez says that it should be far easier to find beds.
Right now, we can take out our phone and queue up an Uber, a Lyft. You can see them driving around the city. Our interim shelter beds should be just as well tracked.
Perez says that the LA City Controller Office has created a demo app to show a better system available, but the app needs data from LA Homeless Services Authority, so we'll have to see what exactly happens there. No doubt about that.
We were able to create the tech. It's there for LAHSA or anybody to use, and we're hopeful that that example serves as a rallying cry, because Los Angeles does deserve more.
So who exactly is going to be doing the rallying? Because that's what I want to know. Because he did say it would be a rally cry, but who's going to do the crying? Because it becomes one of those weird things that if you start crying too much, people start getting all weirded out about it. So do you think it's a good idea, a bad idea, or a somewhat in between idea? Because I never know. I always ask the questions because I want to have better answers, but it doesn't necessarily mean that I'll have either or. Anyways, firefighters are dealing with a huge fire that impacted businesses in Kingsbridge section of LeBron. Scott Pringle has more.
This blaze started around 3:30 in the morning at a store on 231st Street by Broadway. It appears a handful of stores suffered damage, including food markets and a barbershop. Area residents are told to keep their windows closed to avoid being impacted by smoke that's now spread across Kingsbridge and Riverdale. The fire impacting subway service in the area. No reported injuries. Scott Pringle, NBC News Radio, New York.
Okay, thank you, Scott Pringle, for that information right there. New York State Court of Appeals is ordering the state congressional district map to redraw. What is going on? Scott Pringle has more.
The ruling is seen as a big win for Democrats who sued to have the most recent maps tossed after their party lost some seats in the state. This means the redistricting process goes back to an independent commission. The new congressional map is expected to have a big impact nationally for what's expected to be a close fight for House control in 2024. Governor Kathy Hochul and the state attorney general Letitia James released a statement saying the redistricting decision will ensure all New Yorkers are fairly and equitably represented by elected officials. Scott Pringle, NBC News Radio, New York.
Okay, thank you, Scott Pringle, for that information right there. The holiday season for many people, is the happiest time of the year, but jam-packed schedules can affect the mental health of people as well. Katie Gray has more.
mental health experts suggest to be aware of your stress levels during the holidays.
We're driven by expectations, and there's external expectations of the family. We've always done this in the family, and therefore it's your job now to maintain this, and there's expectations we place on ourselves.
Bradley Dirks, Kansas State University, says seasonal demand can easily.
We get overwhelmed, we get tired, we get worn out, and we've done it for how many years?
Dirks says stress can lead to physical illness, depression, anxiety, and even substance abuse. But there are some ways to manage our stress, like being more selective with our time and taking walks when we can. I'm Katie Gray.
Taking walks when we can. Can you walk out of a meeting and just keep on walking? I mean, I'm just asking the question here. I never know. Anyways, it is currently 30 minutes past the top of the hour. Take a listen to this. Randolph-Macon College community is mourning the death of a student. Sarah Bartlett has more.
The Hanover County Sheriff's Office says 18-year-old Baron High of Woodford was involved in a crash Sunday night when he hit a large tree limb in the road. That caused him to lose control of his vehicle, leave the roadway, and hit a tree. High was pronounced dead at the scene, and the investigation continues. According to the college, High was an honors student who was pursuing a major in chemistry. He was also a performer with the Randolph-Macon Wind Ensemble. A celebration of life will be held for him when students return to campus next month. I'm Sarah Bartlett.
Yes, definitely a celebration of life is the way to go when you are looking at these factors, that is for sure. A sad story out of Hampton, Virginia, where a child has died. Sarah Bartlett has more.
Hampton police say a 2-year-old got a hold of a loaded gun and it went off Tuesday afternoon. Wavy TV reports that it happened at a home on Marcella Road and the toddler was taken to the hospital where she died from her injuries. It's not known yet who else was in the home at the time of the incident, and at this point no charges have been announced, but the Major Crimes Unit is continuing to investigate. I'm Sarah Bartlett.
Okay, thank you, Sarah Bartlett, for that information right there. Let's do two more. Tucker Carlson launches his own subscription streaming service. Trey Thomas has more.
The Tucker Carlson Network went live on Monday. It will be home to multiple shows, interviews, short-form videos, and monologues. It costs $9 a month and will initially be solely available through his website. Carlson was the highest-rated host in primetime cable news when his show was abruptly canceled by Fox News in April. I'm Trey Thomas.
Okay, thank you, Trey Thomas, for that one. A defense rested in the case on Tuesday in the New York civil fraud trial against Trump, the Trump organization, Donald Trump, and his adult sons. Andrew Whitman reports.
The final Trump defense witness was an NYU accounting professor after the former president announced Sunday he would not testify in the case again. After a final state rebuttal witness Wednesday, the trial will recess into the new year. Closing briefs are expected January 5th. Summations are scheduled for January 11th, and a verdict could be issued by the end of January. The judge has already ruled that Trump's and the company repeatedly committed fraud for years. Judge Arthur Engoron will now decide if the Trumps committed insurance fraud and other offenses, and if so, what the penalties should be. Andrew Whitman, NBC News Radio, New York.
Okay, thank you, Andrew Whitman. Let's squeeze one more in. A former public school teacher is accused of sexually abusing 3 students over several years. Attorneys for the students claim that Andrew Castro groomed them.
He would take them out to the bowling alley. He would take them out to movies. He would buy them gifts. He introduced himself to the family of these children and gained their trust by offering to do work.
A federal civil lawsuit says the abuse started in 2018 inside of the home of former Federico Garcia Rolca Elementary School gym teacher when the victims were between the ages of 10 and 12. Castro was charged in June with sexual assault and sexual exploitation of a child. The suit for CPS of failing to protect the boys from the abuse. So we'll see more of that coming down the pike in regards of what other information will come about. Anyways, it is 33 minutes past the top of the hour, so let's do this.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
So let's talk about it because I had a lot of people reach out to me because of the decision architect, the question architect, and yes, the obsession with architects was not really the driving force behind some of the stuff that we were talking about. What we were talking about mostly was being able to architect some of the stuff that is going on and how you have to think and devise things as you are asking questions, giving answers to know exactly what it would lead to next. Now, listen, I don't know how you look at some of this stuff, but it is unfortunate, the next part that I'm going to have to say. a lot of the times, some of the things that we do are questions almost related as how a hostage negotiator would ask, and answers are almost on how a negotiator would have to give the answer back. Now, think about that for a moment, and if you've been in this industry for some time, you will know that that is the factor on some of the things that we have to do. It's not the good, it's not the bad, it's not the ugly. It's the reality of the side of the things that we get to do. It's just the way that it happens. I don't know why that's the case. Triangle, please. So with that being said, this is the reason behind this. Now, I'm going to tell you this because I think it's important for what we do for work. I think it's important for the things that we talk about and move forward with. If you have the mentality of a hostage negotiator, how much further will things go in your life? And I'm not talking about manipulating people's feelings, because some people will go into that as we're talking about this. But think about this. Some of the best hostage negotiators for the FBI, for the police departments, and so on, eventually move from being hostage negotiators to actually doing independent businesses later on. Because it is a skill set that one should learn. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but think about that if you applied some of the things that you could learn here in that particular regards on how well things would work inside of your work environment. Think about that for a moment, because it gets kind of strange when we start talking about this, on how you can apply certain techniques and move them across the board. And it's important because on how we are able to interact with team members and other people. And I have talked for a long period of time, if you've hung out on our shows for some time now, about the question behind the question, QBQ. Great book if you haven't read it, but that's the things that drive things forward. People have to understand that normally when there is a question, there is an answer, and there is another question that is actually pronged up behind it. Now, some people are going to sit here and go, explain this to me on how exactly this ties 100% into safety. Well, not everything we talk about does. But the great thing about it is that if you apply some of these things that you can take from other segments of work and plan them into what we have going on, you'll see how things move forward. Think about this. For a long period of time, people looked at culture and changing cultures in regards of environments and so on, not thinking about changing organizational cultures. But if you took a look at some of the culture changes that you could do elsewhere on how you would be able to move forward with that. Think about it for a moment, because it might take you to places that you did not expect. That is for sure. No doubt about that. What a weird thing to think about.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You are listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
This portion of the show has been sponsored by Private Internet Access, America's #1 virtual private network, or VPN. Even if you use incognito mode, internet service providers is storing your browser data and many times even selling it. But Private Internet Access, or PIA, can help you. PIA encrypts and reroutes your internet traffic through one of its own servers, hiding your data from your internet service provider or network admin. And with servers in over 75 countries, you can get unrestricted access to geo-blocked content from around the world. PIA comes with easy-to-use apps and browsers extension for all devices, a rock-solid privacy policy, open source security, advanced customization settings, and it was just ranked the fastest VPN in the world by PC Magazine. And if you sign up right now with PIA, you can take advantage of a special deal only for Safety FM listeners. Only by using the following link, you can get the digital privacy for less than $2 a month. Yes, you did hear me correctly, less than $2 a month, and an extra 4 months for free. So that means for only $1.98 a month and 83% off, you can get this service for you right now. That's so much more inexpensive than virtually every other VPN on the market. And if you get it right now, you can take PIA's 30-day risk-free challenge. You can try it out for 30 days, see if you like it, and if not, just return it for a full refund. So just go to safetyfm.com/VPN. That's safetyfm.com/VPN to try out the best VPN on the planet completely risk-free. Now remember, safetyfm.com/VPN.
Radio in USA, Canada, UK.
Let's start using cutting-edge warp speed 5G technology with your cell phone. Let me tell you about my friends at mobilemobile.io. They have an ultra-fast 4G LTE and 5G network that covers 99% of Americans. So they've got you covered everywhere. Think about it for a moment. You have the opportunity to take a test drive for 10 days with unlimited talk, text, and premium data. What is premium data? Premium data is an allotment of a cellular data that you receive from a higher priority on the network. You won't get throttled like you will with some of those, well, non-brand service providers. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to mobilemobile.io. That's mobilemobile.io to start your 10-day free trial.
Hello. What do guys like besides pizza and morning sex?
Jay Allen in the morning.
It's so bizarre and unnatural.
It's all good. On Radio Big.
Well, you might be like me and heard all these terms and were not 100% sure on what they meant. Things is mining, blockchain, the Internet of Things. Well, I will tell you, we here at Safety FM have partnered up with a company that will explain this to you and will also have conversations to inform you on how you might have the potential of making passive income by being involved with this. All you need to do is go to safetyfm.com/iHub. They'll discuss blockchain. What exactly is mining? What is cryptocurrency? And what is the Internet of Things? To find out more information, go to safetyfm.com/iHub. That's safetyfm.com/iHub. And don't forget to mention that Jay Allen sent you.
In order to save the planet from cow farts, why doesn't someone just invent really large gas X pills?
God, what's that awful stench? Radio Big.
I know the love is real, despite what my heart can't feel. They say stand up for the things you can't stand to lose. I want you to fight for me. I want you to fight for me. A spectator watching us bleed out inside. Mindless surrender, no shame and no pride.
Okay, you are still listening to the Rated R Safety Show with the blown preamp. Yeah, this is hour number 1 of the Jay Allen in the Morning Show, just in case you were wondering. Currently 43 minutes past the top of the hour. So this right here, this song's titled Fight. This is by Madeline Ray. Yeah, I want you to fight for me, that's for sure. So always a good time as you and I get to hang out and do all kinds of fun stuff, no doubt about that.
Fight for me, fight for me. Ay.
So thanks to Madeline Ray for allowing us to play this here on the Rated R Safety Show.
Beg me to stay. Shake, shake, shake me awake. Rip me from slumber and fight for me.
So there you go. This song's readily available on YouTube Music, Apple Music, and Spotify if you want to give it a little spinner inner.
Fight for me, fight for me, fight. I want you to fight for me.
Yeah, I want to fight for you too. So there you go. Some interesting stuff always going on as we are talking, hanging and banging and all that kind of fun stuff. Let's do this because I need to tell you about the most important thing that I'm ever going to tell you in my lifetime. And I'm not exaggerating as I'm saying that. I want to tell you about my friends at To Right Love on Her Arms. No matter what you're facing, you deserve to be connected to help. We want you to know that people have been where you are now and things can get better. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to TWLOHA.com. That's TWLOHA.com. That's To Right Love on Her Arms. Once you get to the website, go to the very far right-hand side and click on the section that says Find Help. That's To Right Love on Her Arms. Listen, all kinds of information available for you. They are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Has information related to anything related to addiction, depression, anxiety, eating disorders, self-injury, suicide, trauma, and grief support, just to name a few. There's a lot more things on their website. Go to TWLOHA.com, To Right Love on Her Arms, and click on the section that says Find Help. So there you go. Some information for you, for us to talk about in regards of what you can do to be able to move forward. Let's talk about this. A major UK retailer has a solution for those who have no idea what to buy someone on their Christmas list. Online gift shop, Not Only the High Street, has recruited a sidekick for the season who claims that she's able to accurately reveal the perfect gift for those who seem impossible to buy for. And her newly created role, head gifting insider, renowned clairvoyant Inabal Hungman, is providing personalized reading for shoppers in need of help. To take advantage of the TV astrologer services, customers need to answer 4 questions on the retailer's website about the person they're struggling to buy something for. The service has launched after a study found that 45% of adults suffer from Holly dread, the anxiety over gifts to buy. I don't even think a psychic could even find a gift for my mother-in-law if she would like to. But at least I'd have someone else to blame it on, so that's something to say. And also, I don't suffer from Holly dread, but I do actually experience seasonal defeating. Yeah, seasonal defeating. That's something to think about for you right there. Anyways, take a listen to this. The latest breakthrough in AI just might happen and change the medical system worldwide. Company says that it set the role of the first AI doctor's office in some U.S. city next year. CarePod is a self-service cube where patients can be screened for issues relevant to diabetes, hypertension, and depression and anxiety, according to its maker, Ford. So here, take a listen to this. The high-tech health stops will be installed in malls, gyms, and offices, and can scan the integrator into a program called Health Apps. Memberships are priced at $99 a month. The CarePod can also draw blood using no needles, no knife, and future plans include scanning for advanced cancer and prenatal care, plus testing for risk of certain illnesses. The first 3 CarePods will be installed in Sacramento, California, Chandler, Arizona, and Chicago. You can find this online if you go looking, just so you know. There is a nice little YouTube little feature on it. They plan to put things in gyms. My fitness center can't help the vending machines working properly. Then they can scan me for cancer, so that's going to be something to think about. And great idea, but on the other hand, remember that study that came last week about AI giving bad advice to medical questions? I don't know. There's a lot of stuff to think about here. Just saying.
Who truly cares what this guy has to say? Who gives a shit? Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, let's continue talking a little bit more about some things that are going on inside of the world. The Department of Education is launching an ethnic discrimination probe into 6 colleges, including 5 of the West Coast and 1 in New Jersey. Sarah Lee has more information.
Rutgers University is now under the DOE microscope, along with Stanford, UCLA, UC San Diego, Whitman College, and University of Washington. All 6 are under investigation for alleged violations of Title VI of the Civil Rights Act, which prohibits discrimination based on race and national origin. All have been criticized about their responses to growing anti-Semitism on campus. Rutgers suspended its Students for Justice in Palestine chapter after getting word of the DOE probe. I'm Sarah Lee Kessler.
That's something to think about for sure. Ballot code readers are being proposed for every voting precinct across the state. More from Liz Kennedy coming out of Atlanta, Georgia.
Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger is asking legislators for $4.7 million to buy devices to allow voters to verify that computer codes printed on their ballots accurately reflect their choices. Raffensperger says it will give voters more confidence that their votes are being counted accurately. The AJC reports that the proposed purchase of QR code scanners is part of a broader $26 million election funding package, including more than $10 million to upgrade Dominion voting system software after the 2024 election. I'm Liz Kennedy.
Okay, thank you, Liz, for that one. 5 people are hospitalized in an Amtrak train that collided with a semi-truck in Ventura County. Daniel Martindale reports.
The crash happened at about 6:20 Tuesday night in the unincorporated community of Somas. All of the victims have minor to moderate injuries. The Amtrak Pacific Surfliner train was headed to South Los Angeles. At least one of the train cars derailed but stayed upright. The truck driver was not injured. I'm Daniel Martindale.
Okay, thank you, Daniel Martindale, for that one. The South Fire in Ventura County is now 100% contained. Daniel Martindale updates.
Containment jumped another 10% on Tuesday. Crews will now watch for hot spots and flare-ups while investigators work to figure out what caused the 2,715-acre fire. The fire started Saturday morning between Somas and Santa Paula and spread quickly during strong winds. Today's winds are not expected to be strong, but Southern California Edison still has about 2,200 customers in Ventura County on notice for potential public safety power shutoffs. I'm Daniel Martindale.
Okay, thank you, Daniel, for that one for sure in regards of what is going on, because it's always an interesting time as we start taking a look around of what is going on. Let's talk about Did You Know on this Whip 'em Out Wednesday. Dietitians have long advised that one of the first rules of weight loss is to eat slowly, allowing your body time to feel the full before eating more. If you are one of those who struggles to savor your meal, try this. A new study from the Netherlands has found that people that eat up to half as fast as they once did will chew more, leading to about 20 to 25% less food consumption. This means that the food with hard, crunchy, and chewy textures, which requires more chewing, could facilitate weight loss by preventing you more eating too much at once. So there you go. You would slow down that whole thing. Anyone who has some crunchy cake, well, I guess you're doing it right. Something to think about for sure. Anyways, with that being said, let's bring some John Smalls inside of here. Let him tell us about the Motivation Minute.
The Motivation Minute is courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. They're known for insurance quotes. Today's quote was submitted by Stuart. Arthur Schopenhauer said, "Every truth passes through 3 stages before it is recognized. In the first, it is ridiculed. In the second, it is opposed. In the third, it is regarded as self-evident." I love that. Think about how that works with us. Sometimes we hear something that just sounds ridiculous. Then we might even try to prove it wrong. Then we get a little more information and realize we were wrong. It's okay. That's part of life. It's not bad to be wrong. It just means you're human. And now, it's not good to stay wrong. Once you find out you're wrong, turn around and go the other direction. Otherwise, you're going to drift way off course trying to protect your incorrect beliefs. And why would anyone do that? This has been today's Motivation Minute, courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. They're known for insurance quotes. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
A Texas mother at the center of a lawsuit over the state's abortion ban has left the state. The Center for Reproductive Rights says Cox is getting health care somewhere else.
As difficult as Kate's situation is, she had the means to be able to leave the state of Texas. That is not the case for most people.
That's Nancy Northup, an attorney working on Cox's case. Cox's unborn baby was diagnosed with a fatal condition, but her doctors refused to end the pregnancy over fears of prosecution. Last week, a court ruled in Cox's favor, but that was immediately paused by the state Supreme Court. Former Michigan Governor Rick Snyder's legal case in the Flint water crisis is over. A judge has dismissed misdemeanor charges against Snyder, willful neglect of duty, and was the first former governor to be charged for what had happened while in office. Health updates, Sarah Lee Kessler, NBC News Radio.
It's
a show, and they just make fun of a whole bunch of people. It's just too funny. It's too stupid.
Rated R Safety Show.
Oh, yes, Rated R Safety Show, as we are still hanging out with 54 minutes past the top of the hour. Let's talk about this. Nearly every Tesla sold in the United States is being recalled over an issue of the autopilot. Take a listen to this.
More than 2 million vehicles are subject to the recall to fix a system that monitors drivers as they use the Tesla's autopilot system. An investigation by the National Highway Traffic and Safety Administration found that autopilot fails to ensure drivers are paying attention when that system is engaged. Tesla says it will send out a software update to fix the issue. I'm Rory O'Neill.
Okay, so it's a recall that you're sending a software update for. I don't know if that's, a terrible recall, but definitely something to think about as we are talking, no doubt about that. Anyways, let's talk about some things that happened back on this date. Back in 2021, the CDC reports that 1 in 100 Americans aged 65 or older have died of COVID-19. The accounts for about 75% of total deaths in the U.S. from the virus. That happened on this date back in 2021. Let's talk about some birthdays that are going on today. Emma Corrin turns 28. DeMort Kennedy turns 32. Katherine Schwarzenegger turns 34. Taylor Swift turns 34. Amy Lee, 42. Tom DeLonge, 48. Bart Johnson, 53. Jamie Foxx, 56. Nana Leakes turns 56. Steve Buscemi, 66. And Dick Van Dyke turns 98 today. If you're looking at some days of the year to celebrate, well, I have some of those for you. It's Day of the Horse, National Violin Day, and there is another day that a lot of people are going out there and celebrating today. And what is it? Well, it is known as National Cocoa Day. Yeah, it is National Cocoa Day. Did you know it was a thing? Let's talk about it.
It's time to cozy up with a mug of cocoa, and that's different from hot chocolate, which we celebrate on January 31st. The difference is subtle. Cocoa is made from cocoa powder, milk, and sugar, then heated. Hot chocolate's made from grated chocolate and added to heated milk. Both good, both invented by the Mayans some 2,000 years ago, and we thank them today on National Cocoa Day. Marshmallows optional. I'm Bree Tennis.
I don't think marshmallows should be optional. Marshmallows are the reason for the season. There is no doubt about that. So let's throw some of those bad boys in as we are talking. So no doubt as we are hanging out here. Anyways, let's talk about this real quick. If you need a random joke for today, I have one of those for you. I'm not lazy. I'm highly motivated to do nothing. I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was a good one. I'm just saying. Anyways, what else? If you need a phone starter for today, try this. What is your least favorite holiday side dish? Oh, so many things come to mind on this lovely Whip 'em Out Wednesday. And if you need a question for the water cooler, try this. 35 of us agree that Christmas tradition is the one that no one does anymore. What is it? Roasting chestnuts on an open fire. So there you go. If you want to say, hey, let's do something that hasn't been done in a long period of time, maybe that's your default go-to this time around. Something to think about as we are hanging. No doubt about that for sure. So there you go. Anyways, this is going to sum up our time together at the top of the hour. If you stay on Safety FM, you will hang out with the likes of Sheldon Primus as he talks us about the world and business of safety consulting. If you want to hang out with me, I'll be going over to radiobig.fm for the next couple hours or so and talking about the world of music and entertainment. You can hang out with either one. Not a problem whatsoever. Here you go. Thank you for always being the best part of Safety FM and Radio Big, and that is the listener, because without you, it doesn't make any sense to do what we do around here. If I can leave you with a deep thought for today, good things may occur to those who wait, but only those things can be done for those who hustle. Think about that. What a weird place to be. Think about that. Anyways, I know who you are.
Duh.
You know who I am. Love you, mean it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.
for me, babe. Shout from the depths, beg me to stay. Shake, shake, shake me awake. Rip me from slumber and fire.